Hey everybody, it's Masters Week. One of us, not me, not Scott, is live at Augusta. You can kind of see the humble brag background behind us there. The word drying agent will be used, and maybe a certain animal's shares a human's first name will also be there. We'll be doing that and more with the Masters preview of Gaming Golf. Welcome, everybody, to Gaming Golf Masters Week Edition. I'm Jeff Erickson here with Scott Jenstad with the Masters hat and Jeff Ritter with the Masters background. Oh, wait, no, that's really at Augusta right now with even the water bottle to show off. Media water bottle, not even just any old water bottle, but media water bottle. Gentlemen, how's it going? Jeff, what's going on? How you doing down there?
It's good. I don't know. Is it media water or is it Tiger Woods Kool-Aid? It's hard to know at this point since we're all, we're fresh off the Tiger Woods press conference, which probably, I don't know where to rank it among Tiger Woods press conferences, but it would crack the top 10, I feel like, of most anticipated Tiger Woods press conferences in his career. And he was pretty good. I mean, he was revealing, and he's going to do this. So, I mean, it's kind of the answer that golf fans, I think, are looking for, and media too. I mean, it's fun to have him back. It's fun to have him around. I want to see him play. So it looks like he's a go. And at this point, Thursday can't get here fast enough.
Do you think he'd do it if he was out there to shoot 77?
No, he's here because he thinks he can play well. And I mean, okay. He was asked point blank in the press conference, "Hey, you've always said you play to win. You here to win? Do you think you can win?" He said, "I do." That was it. So he's not. This is not a ceremonial, 2 rounds at Augusta that he has planned. He's out here to go for it.
I was going to say, you would know best, and I was just curious if you thought there was anything in him that would just show up for ceremonial, but I kind of agree. I don't think he would either.
No, not at all. No, he's not going through all this just for a victory lap. This is the real deal.
ESPN was showing a couple of clips yesterday, and you could see a little bit of limp, and everybody just mentioned that he was limping still a little bit. He's obviously not 100% yet, but it's also, he was this close to having a leg amputated, for crying out loud, and he's going to be playing in the Masters, so 14 months later. Pretty crazy.
Yeah, you can see it when he walks. I mean, you can just, it's a little different, like, to call it a hitch, or it's sort of it just looks like he's favoring his foot is probably the best way to explain it, which we know it was a tibia, fibula, reconstructive thing. So there's probably a lot of pain in that ankle. So it's a different kind of walk. We've seen Tiger walk in pain a lot on the golf course. Usually his back, his neck, the knee. This one looks a little different. It's not as pronounced, but it's there. If you look for it, you can see it. So,
had you ever seen a bigger practice gallery than they had yesterday out there for him?
So I took a walk yesterday, and I went into the Tiger chaos for like 10 minutes just to see him. Yeah. And then I walked the rest of the back 9 almost by myself. So it was just a beautiful day, and just there's no one around doing anything else except watching Tiger's every move. So it's crazy. It's funny. It almost feels like every 4 years or so, it's been like this at the Masters, where you just have like a Tiger Woods Masters, whether it was scandal or back injury or knee, and now it's the car crash. But every so often, it just seems that Tiger and the new cycle, it just all starts with him. And this is one of those Masters, understandably, where he is the story until we tee off, and including really up to the weekend. We'll see if he makes it beyond that.
Yeah, 8,500. Let's just start with him, and then we'll eschew our usual order just to do Tiger Quest here. Sure. 8,500 on DraftKings. Are we, and then just as importantly on the betting side, I'm sure there's plenty of intrigue there. I mean, I'm sure his betting price will actually be less favorable even than his DraftKings price. Guys, what do we think about Tiger Woods? In fact, it's 7 on PointsBet. I see 7,000 plus 7,000. So I thought it'd be more in like the 50 range.
He's down to 50 to 1 on DraftKings already.
Okay, there you go.
I'm a full pass on both, to answer your question succinctly.
Well, I think, in daily fantasy, it's tough to, he's going to be probably over-owned and he's already overpriced on DraftKings. I do think there's something about, like to back up the Masters. This is the most fun week there is to bet on golf. We do this podcast and we have fun with the Valero and the other events, but this is the week. This is the greatest week for golf betting. And so I do think it's fun to hold a ticket for Tiger Woods this week. And so if you can do it and he's still 50-1, I recommend holding one of those tickets because it's fun to have the best story, out there in your hands. But if you're in pools or these daily fantasy games where you're going to assemble a lineup, I think that's difficult. But if you can just make a sentimental choice with a straight ticket, why not? Why not have the best story in your hands? So that's where I come down.
And this is why that price keeps on getting less and less favorable.
Yeah, fanning the flames as I
root for the story. Yes, I get it. There. Yeah. All right, let's jump into. We'll go with our usual breakdown here, and start by tiers. And the first thing you notice is there are 7 guys over at 10,000 or higher. Usually it's usually not that top heavy. However, the highest price is only 11,000. Scotty Scheffler. It's not John Rahm. It's Scotty Scheffler, number 1 in the world, hottest player in golf right now. John Rahm's 10.8, DJ's at 10.5, JT is at 10.3, Colin Morikawa 10.2, Victor Hovland 10.1, and Rory McIlroy straight up at 10,000. Scott, we'll start with you. What jumps at you at this level?
Just how awesome this range is overall. I mean, all awesome players, but you got to pick and choose is what makes it fun. There's no way I'm playing Scheffler at 11,000. I love him. Everybody knows I talk about him a lot on this podcast, but I'm not paying the top price for him. My top guy in this range and the guy who I think actually wins this week is Justin Thomas at 10.3. He was really good at Valspar, finished third, really huge tee to green numbers, big approach numbers, huge tee to green last 4 tournaments, hitting the ball really, really well right now. He was 21st here last year. He was 4th in November of 2020 in the COVID year. I just think it's time for him to win here. And I just there's so many good players in this range, but JT sticks out to me as my favorite play this week in this range.
It's a good pick. He's certainly getting a lot of coaching from Tiger these last 2 rounds as well.
Never hurts around that track.
Never hurts. Thomas has a decent course. I mean, he's got decent course experience. He doesn't really have a lot of success. No scar tissue that you can really point to at Augusta. A strong pick. I think he's my second favorite off this tier, though, because I think John Rahm is going to win this week. I think Rahm, he's had a little bit better history than Thomas. I think he's fully motivated, having, he was asked about number 1 in the world rankings, didn't seem bothered by that at all. Just kind of comes in with that perspective and general groundedness of fatherhood. And I just like what I saw from him. His press conference was actually right before Tiger Woods' today. And I just think statistically, tee to green, the stats line up for his strengths of kind of a winner's profile at Augusta. And I just think he's a guy that's he's going to win more than 1 major in his career. It's hard to see him without a green jacket, and I think it's going to be this week. So he's my pick to win. I know we'll get to one and done picks later. I haven't fully decided if he's my one and done pick, but I think he's my favorite pick on the board. So I like him just a hair over Thomas off this tier.
It is, and for me, it's clearly not Morikawa because of the putting, and I think because here at Augusta, we've talked about this. Where do you put an emphasis on putting? Well, Augusta is the first place you think of, right? And
Hovland. I mean, Hovland off this tier, I think is a full fade. I just, the short game profile is a little scary for Augusta National, along with Morikawa. I think those are 2 fades off this tier.
All right, let's move on to the second tier, the 9,000s. Rory McIlroy, no, not Rory, Cam Smith at 9.9. We haven't seen Cam Smith hardly, I think, since he won the TPC. He's at 9.9. Jordan Spieth at 9.8. Xander 9.6. Cantlay at 9.5. Brooks 94. Hideki 93. Zalatoris 92. Bryson 91. Berger 9,000. Jeff Ritter, you get to go first this time.
A lot of heat on this tier too. I think Cam Smith, very tempting. I mean, he's just, again, the profile fits. He's got a runner-up a couple years ago at the fall edition of this tournament. That sweet combo of tee to green plus around the green would fit. It's just very tough. to win the Players and then just go right back out your next event after the biggest win of your life and go win something bigger. So my favorite off the tier by a hair over Cam Smith would be Brooks Koepka, who I just think is also kind of on his way back from a little bit of time in the wilderness in the last year. But I just see him putting it together. I think he's also got the right combination of success at Augusta without necessarily scar tissue. And this feels like a Brooks Koepka, DGAF week where he's just going to go out there, maybe rain, Tiger hype, whatever, put the blinders on and put himself in contention on Sunday. So for me, it's Koepka and Smith off this tier. There's quite a few you can make a case for, but those two are my favorites.
I think Brooks Koepka is going to be very, very popular this week. I think a lot of people are going with that impression. I think he's popular betting wise. He's 9,400. I think he'll be very popular. I'm going with two different guys. One that I think will also be popular. One that I think is a little bit overlooked. My first is going to be popular, Xander Schauffele, 9,600. I just love the price. Anytime I can get Xander under 10,000, he's T2 and T3 here in the last 3 years. So really good form. Great numbers the last three tournaments. One of those guys I throw out players. He was on. I think he was in the bad draw, and just numbers are bad there. But gained tee to green approach at Valspar, gained tee to green approach at Genesis. Great across the board at Phoenix. Just playing really well right now. 9,600, I think, is an underprice for him. And my other guy here is actually Patrick Cantlay. I think that Cantlay is a little bit going to be overlooked here with Brooks and Will Z and Cam Smith, all these guys here. Cantlay's another guy. Throw out the players. I just don't think that really matters. He was just, didn't play well there, but so good before that. 4 top 10s before Genesis. I think Cantlay at 9,500 is a little bit underpriced. I think his grumpiness is going to be good this week, and it's going to be solid. And I think he's got a really good chance to win this week.
Won't crack a smile until Sunday, huh?
That's all that matters. As long as he does it Sunday, that's good. I just think with Brooks and Xander right between him, I think it's a week where Cantlay's an elite player, but it's going to get overlooked. And needs to be under-owned in this tier. And I love to get that on an elite player.
For sure. Is the putting factor pushing you guys away from Zalatoris?
A little for me. It's more of just guys I like more. But certainly, Zalatoris played himself right there last year, so you figure it's possible. Just seems like he's putting even worse this year than last year. I don't know. I think there's just other guys peaking now.
He's probably my third favorite in the tier, but yeah, he's lost strokes putting 6 weeks in a row, 7 out of 8. He's so good, and he was second here last year. I don't know. Those 6-foot putts are going to be really tough for him this week, I think.
I think we also have to at least acknowledge Spieth, who, him playing well at Augusta has become a thing over the years. It's a higher price than I would have hoped to get, but can't ignore him. If you want to go that route, just based on the course history, and I do think, and I wrote this earlier, but for SI, but I think course history here is a bigger. You factor that higher at Augusta, of course, more than any other major, because it's the only major that repeats courses. But even other tour events, I just think Augusta gets so far into people's heads, and the course history is I think something you bump that up this week more than any other. And Spieth, of course, he oozes that, including some demons in him and Corner. But he's got a history of playing well out here and feeling good about it. So I want to totally disregard him.
I kind of view him as the guy that's going to be on the leaderboard on Saturday, and then we'll see if he kind of fades a little bit on Sunday. Yeah. But I think we'll see a lot of TV coverage of Spieth. I don't know if he'll be in the winner's circle. And like you said, 9,800. That's a hefty price to pay for that. All right. Let's move into the 8,000s. This is usually a tier we like. It's kind of small of a tier, but we mentioned Tiger at 85, but Uzi is 89, Shane Lowry 88, Taylor Gooch 87, Sam Burns 86, Sungjae is at 84, Adam Scott 83, Joaquin Niemann 82, Tony Finau 81, and Tyrrell Hatton at 8,000. Scott, who do you like in this group?
There's a couple of guys I like here. The 8,000s are always fun in these tournaments, but I like Shane Lowry again. He's 12th, 13th, and 2nd his last 3 events, really playing well. Hit the ball really well at Valspar, hit the ball really well at Honda. 21st here last year, 25th in 2020, kind of figuring out the course, good course history, and I think maybe he takes a step up here too. There's a lot of people talking about Tiger, a lot of people talking about Adam Scott, a lot of people talking about Sungjae. I actually like Joaquin Niemann a lot this week. He was sixth at Farmers. We know he won at Genesis, in that dominant tournament, dominant event where he kind of then held on at the end. Missed the cut at Honda right after that, but 22nd at Players. Huge tee to green gains in 3 of 4 weeks. He was 40th here last year, so got some experience, made the cut. I just think at 8,200, I think he's being overlooked. I think a lot of people like Tyrrell Hatton at 8,000, who I like also with playing him. But I think Neiman gets lost here a little bit. One of those guys playing really, really well. Maybe not as quite a big name right now as these other guys, but 8,200 I think is a really good price for Joaquin.
Love Neiman at the price. I would just follow up. I think Hatton is actually my favorite off the tier. I think his track record at majors is very spotty. Sometimes it clicks, sometimes it's just blown out of there before the weekend, but playing well this year, runner up at the Arnold Palmer, tee to green game again. He's got the game that fits with Augusta National. Kind of reminds me a little bit of Rahm in that his runs hot. That's maybe held him back at big events. That was kind of the John Rahm story there for a few years. And I don't know. He's a guy that maybe kind of like what Scott was saying about Lowry, that just feels like he might be figuring it out and feels like we might be peaking towards his first real kind of close call at a major. And so I'm not sure he'd be a pick for me to win, but in a daily fantasy format, I really like him at that price.
Yeah. I think those are both Neiman and Hatton. And those are good, like, prices to build around. Sometimes we talk about building up, right? You find your guys that you like a little cheaper and mid-tier prices, and then you know what you can afford after that. So I think that's one of those building blocks. Those are two of those building block sort of type of guys. Before we move on to the 7,000s, and then also talk about roster construction, quick note from our sponsors that are on the Blue Wire Network. All right. Thank you. We host, of course, every podcast on the Blue Wire Network. So happy to be there again. Please patronize your sponsors. Let's talk 7,000s. It's a good sized tier, but it's a smaller tournament. So we're going to enumerate them this year, or not enumerate. We're going to name them, I guess. Enumerate would be to number them, but I'm not doing that. Talking on recording devices is easy to do and fun for everyone. Abraham Answers at 79. Russell Henley's at 78. So Sergio. Hit the ball already. 77, we got Fitzpatrick and Fleetwood. At 76, we got Connors and Casey. Always at that level at these major tournaments. Always there. Webb Simpson and Justin Rose are at 7,500. At 74, we got Billy Horschel and Patrick Reed. Mark Leishman and Bubba Watson are at 73. Seamus Power and Jason Kokrak at 72. Max Homa and Siwoo Kim at 71. At 7,000, we got Cameron Young, Luke List, and Bobby Mack. All right. We went Scott first last time, so Jeff, you get to go first this time. Who do you like in the sevens?
This is where now one of those things, if you're assembling your Masters board, you can always count on a 40-something player to hang around. So I like this tier. I think you're getting a great discount on Paul Casey, who, he didn't complete a match in the match play, which is concerning. But
what was the issue there?
I think it was back or neck. I'd have to go back, one of the two. But he withdrew.
It was a back.
So this is a dice roll, but he is underpriced. I mean, if he plays and is feeling good, that is a steal. So I think especially if you're going to do more than one lineup, I like Casey in one of those lineups for the upside. But there's risk. So for a little less risk. And this is where I go back to saying, like, I look at course history and I weigh it heavier here than any other tournament we talked about all year. I look at Justin Rose, who is not having a good year, but just always seems to hang around the Masters. He was actually, I think he led this for a couple rounds last year. So I think he's probably fairly priced, but maybe a sneaky pick at 7,500 just for this week, just based on what he always seems to do at Augusta. And then,
as long as we don't have to see that dribble commercial,
you're probably going to see that commercial. And then even once again, Sergio, I'm staying in the 40-something tier. He's far enough removed from his win. I don't know. I think maybe you could talk me into Sergio at that price, rounding out a lineup. So that's actually where I start in this tier. And there's certainly some younger guys with upside as well. But those are my favorites. This is my 40-something tier.
You guys are in that 40-something tier, so I can see how you can relate. I'm on the Champions Tour already, so we'll go otherwise there. Scott, who do you like in the 7,000s?
Man, I love this tier. This is a great tier this week. I'm going to do a couple of the top half, couple of the bottom half. I really like Russell Henley at 7,800, just playing really well right now. He's gained tee to green in 10 straight weeks. He gained 11.5 at approach at the Players. I know that was a weird week, but he still led the field. Like, that still tells me something there. He was 13th at API prior to the Players. He gained 7.7 off the tee, or tee to green, 5.4 around the green. Always key to be creative and a good around the green at Augusta. It's just a lot of like big gains too. It's not like he's barely gaining. He's gaining a lot. Gaining approach 5 of 6. I just really like him this week. I like the current form. I like the way he's playing. I think Matthew Fitzpatrick at 7,700. Sorry, Matt Fitzpatrick is just always solid here. I think he's last 5 tournaments, 1 miscut at Players. Again, toss that out, and 4 top 10s. Like, playing really well. Gained well at Valspar, so kind of found it again, hitting the ball well. Corey Connors I think is going to be really popular at 7,600. He was top 10 here the last couple of years, top 35 the last 3 weeks. So I think he's kind of finding his game right now. So I think he'll be popular. As you get a little bit lower, I really like Billy Horschel at 7,400. Just really good ball striking last 3 events. I think the price is really good here. He made the Sweet 16 at the WGC, made the cut here the last 3 years. So it's some decent form here. And then I got to go with my boy Max Homa at 7,100, playing really well. Great tee to green numbers in 4 straight events, gained an approach in 5 straight. Did miss the cut here the last couple times. It's my one kind of reservation on Homa, but hopefully after a couple times here, he'll figure it out. But 4 straight top 20s, 5 of the 6 top in the top 20. I love the price on Homa one day. I think 7,100 really helps you get other stuff in.
Yeah. Again, and we talked about this concept. So sounds like you're going to be having 2 or 3 guys in this tier.
I'm gonna mix and match a bunch in this tier. Probably 1 or 2 in the top 7,000s, 1 or 2 in the bottom. I'm gonna play probably 2 or 3 in this range in almost every lineup. Good
to know. Let's move into the 6,000s. It's better here than a lot of places, except for the very bottom. But we don't have to talk too. We don't need to pick on poor Woozy or Harrington. But in the 6,000s, who do we like? If you're going heavy up top, you're going to spend on Rahm. Jeff, you talked about perhaps spending on Rahm. Who are you going after in the 6,000s to make this work?
I think actually, if you do it right, you don't have to go too deep in the 6,000s. You don't want to, as people say often, and it is true. You can probably take 30 names right off the board right away at this event, and they're lurking at the bottom of this tier. So don't go down. Sure. Sandy Lyles, he's had a wonderful career. Just don't. Okay. So if there's one thing you take away from this show, don't. I would stay right as high in this tier as I could. I think Gary Woodland, to me, looks like maybe he is on a bit of a career rebirth. Had a good Florida swing. Not a ton of history at the Masters that you'd hang your hat on, but at the price, it's not bad. And then back to course history. I mean, Lee Westwood isn't doing much this year. Has a great history, though, at the Masters. A lot of close calls. And you go back through the years. I mean, he is a top 10 machine, actually, at Augusta. So at the price, if you're going to round out a lineup and dip down once below 7,000, I would really try to hang out of this tier and try to build it around 10s and 7s, more so than the 6s. But those would be my 2 guys.
I think the top part of this, like you said, I would not dip in the bottom part, but the top half has some interesting names. I went right to Woodland also, 6,900. Really good numbers at Valero, finished 8th, gained 6 tee to green, 6.1 approach. He's got these top 10, 3 of the last 5 tournaments, top 25 and 4 of 5. Big tee to green numbers every week except for that Players Week, which again we throw out. I think he'll be popular at 6,900. He's got to be. He's been on leaderboards last month or so. I like him a lot at 6,900. And the other guy I dipped down to, another guy on Jeff's season-long team actually, is Eric Van Rooyen at 6,700. Hit it really well at the Players. He was second in the field in the whole field and approach, 3rd in tee to green that week. Missed the cut at API, but he's top 40 in 4 of his last 5 events. His putting's a little bit rough, but if he can kind of be, kind of league average in putting this week, I think he's got a really good chance to make the cut and maybe be a top 30 guy. And at 6,700, I think that really works well. I like him a little more than Hoagie and Christian Bez, who are both kind of the same price, who I think will also get consideration this week. So Van Rooyen and Woodland for me, both on Jeff's season-long team. So maybe he'll have a good week this week.
Well, I benched Van Rooyen, but now I'm wondering. I was between Van Rooyen and not.
What you could do is trade me Gary Woodland for Jason Day, and then you could play Van Rooyen this week.
I mean, the Patrick Reed Day thing, we had that was a 2-week offer. And
I'll drop down. I'll drop down and take Woodland for Day right now.
I can't do that one. I'm sorry, but I guess it's my turn to reject one of your trade offers live.
I figured as much. I should have countered with that. I should have countered that 3 weeks ago, but
yes, I would have taken it 3.
I
would
know.
have taken it 3 weeks ago.
I know.
You all this talk about Jason Day when you can have Højgaard. I mean, he's right there, hovering, waiting for you there. Man, my team is pathetic. Kyle Stanley interest you? No. Oh, okay. No, not at all. I've got 4 guys going this week. It's so sad, and one of them's Decky, who may not play. You know,
I have 4, and I had to pick up like one of the few guys who's available too. It's Jason Day not in this field, no Johnny Vegas, no Keegan Bradley. My kind of fringe guys really aren't playing this week. It was rough.
Who'd you pick up?
Guido Migliozzi.
Oh yeah, I saw that. I remember that now. Good pickup, maybe.
Yeah, he hit the ball about 900 yards, but who knows what happens after that?
Having a tough year though.
Where it goes,
2 for 9 in cuts. So that's
he played well at the U.S. Open last year at Torrey, so just taking a little major history and hopefully get lucky more than anything.
I can't believe you're not going back to your guy Danny Willett.
Did someone have him or no?
No, I get I just you have a history with Danny Willett.
We have a long, really good history at Augusta, so I think very fondly of Danny Willett at all times.
There you go. All right, let's move on to the gaming stage here. Let's take a look at some of the odds, some of the wins, and maybe some of the other crazy bets. Because let's face it, this is a week where you want to have a lot of action. Usually, I know. Scott, you've often done maybe not gaming, but you've done a couple of like one and done pools. Or there's that pool I think that I joined you in the year we went to Augusta. So
the Mr. Bill pool. It's a very fun one.
I'd love to get back in on that if you.
I will shoot you the info if you want it.
All right, cool. Let's look at the betting odds. Jeff, who's on your betting sheet this week?
Well, I'm trying to pull up the odds here on the veranda, and it's not succeeding. But I would go back to kind of my favorite value picks that I mentioned earlier. I think Cam Smith, wherever he is, I think he's probably off the top 5 picks on the betting sheet.
14-1 right now.
Oh, never mind. That's too low.
PointsBet has him at 16. He's the 3rd on the board.
His
DraftKings price is better than his betting odds.
Brooks is currently 20-1 on DraftKings.
Love that. Anytime we get somebody you like at 20-1 or beyond, I'm in for that. So, like Brooks, Rahm is probably the betting favorite, right? 10-1 or something like that. So even though I was touting him earlier, I'd probably try to find value elsewhere.
I'll tell you,
Brooks is probably my favorite pick off of the betting sheet.
I'll tell you a good. Hatton's he is at
55.
PointsBet you can even get him at 60.
Yeah, why
60,
not?
So.
Yeah, I would try that too.
Yeah, I think the big interesting disconnect here is the difference in the DraftKings prices and some of the betting odds. Scotty Scheffler, most expensive player in DraftKings, he's like 12th most expensive in terms of the betting odds. He's at like 27-1 on FanDuel.
Wow, he's 12-1 on DraftKings.
Yeah, better.
20,
I don't know.
27-1. 27-1 is really high. That's
actionable, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I haven't seen above 15-1 when I look, but that's a really big price.
Yeah, at least according to our tool that scrapes the odds of the 4 sites.
I wonder if they're doing some kind of promo and like a odds boost or something on him, because that 27 seems really high.
Yeah, for sure. All right, Scott, who do you like?
So, this is a week where I probably bet a couple more names than I normally do. It's fun. I love the Masters, so maybe not the best, the smartest, but I'm always going to have a couple extra bets in here. I'm going to drop down off the top 5. I'm going to bet Xander at 20-1 and Cantlay at 25-1 for sure. Xander versus Morikawa is a really tough one for me. They're both 20-1, but I like Xander a little more this week. You mentioned the putting on Morikawa, so I'm going Xander and Cantlay at the top-ish, avoiding the top tier. Then I drop down. I really like Shane Lowry at 50-1. I like Tyrrell Hatton at 55-1 and Joaquin Niemann all the way down at 65-1. So I'm betting some kind of 3 middle guys there in that range. Then a couple bombs down the board. Max Homa at 80-1 for sure. A couple bucks there. I got some FOMO there. He can't win, and I don't have him. And then I think Gary Woodland 100-1 has won a major, playing really well right now. I don't expect him to win, but I think 100-1's a little bit long for a guy who's playing well, has some majors pedigree. So a couple bucks on Woodland for sure. It's as deep as I'll go.
All right, very good. Before we get to one and done, I got to ask you, we've all been on the grounds. Jeff's been there multiple times. Scott and I have been there the one time. Favorite memory of being at Augusta? I'll start so you guys can think about it because I just sprung this on you. My favorite is we're watching the practice. Well, I have 2 actually, but watching the practice round, the Wednesday practice round, you get to the par 3 16 and see, a lot of the pros will try to skip a ball on there and have some fun, just over the water onto the green. One group did all 4 at once, and they all tried to skip it on, and that was pretty cool. The other was the par 3 contest where JT, Spieth, and
Ricky
were all playing together.
Don't forget my boy. He's not here.
Yeah. Well, hey, and they're doing this thing that you weren't allowed to mark the ball. So like they had to kind of like chip putts over another ball or things like that. There's cool little things like that. Just I remember those things. And the par 3 course is just beautiful there. Yeah. Jeff, you give me your favorite.
I mean, the course is always a star, if nothing else. I think I've been lucky enough now. This is 10 this year. I think I still go back to my first one, which was 2011, which was a crazy Masters where just like 6 guys could have won it in the last hour. And it was my first time out on the course on a Sunday, and you don't have your phone and there's no video replay boards. It's the old, they put the scores up like they always have since the beginning of the Masters. And it was so strange and cool to be so disoriented on the course, following Jason Day. For a minute, Tiger was in contention in the roars, and people were running and just kind of losing their minds in different directions. You didn't know it was the first time I felt like that at Augusta, not the last, but just that dizzying feeling on Sunday of roars are happening all over the place, and you don't know which way to walk, who's going to win, what is even going on, because there's no radio. And it's such a cool electric feeling to be at a Masters Sunday when the outcome's undecided and it's happening all around you. And I think those moments, it happened with Tiger Woods 3 years ago. That was probably the most, that was the most electric thing. It's just when the whole place is just tilting at Tiger and it's happening. That also stands out. But that first one too, where you're just spinning all around, just roars ripping all around you, and you don't know which way to look, and it's just the whole thing just kind of has your hair on fire. It's great.
Yeah, I would say that the par 3 contest for me too. But I think it was cool. We saw Nicholas Watson and Gary Player, I think, playing together. Is that right, Jeff? I forget exactly.
Yep, that was awesome.
That's cool.
Just seeing and with the par 3. We're like at the rope, so you're like, there's no you're right up close with these guys, so you're right there. That was awesome too. Seeing Spieth and JT and Fowler with their wives and girlfriends catting for him was really fun. But what took me was like as you walk in, how hilly the place is. Like you see one, and like one is straight uphill. It doesn't look like it on TV, but I could not believe how hilly 1 and 18 are. Like you're walking straight uphill on both those holes. It's a beautiful place. I'm really glad we got to go. I'm hoping I can win the lottery again. I'd love to go back at some point, but just a special day that I'm super glad we made the effort to go.
Absolutely. All right, let's close out with one and done. Who do we got? Let's go, Jeff.
Oh man, I wanted another 5 seconds to think about it.
Okay, Scott. Fine.
I'll go. Mine's easy. I'm going for it this week. I'm going Justin Thomas. I think he wins this week. I have him available. I need to get a win in a big event. I've kind of had a bunch of nice gains in the last couple weeks in the top 10s. I had Woodland last week, and I think he finished 8th, but just haven't got over the top. I'm going JT this week. I think he wins it.
Well, I mean,
go ahead, Jeff.
Tiger's the best story. I'm not going to do it. I think
do it.
Rory's a feel-good story. I'm not going to do it. I'm between Rahm and Koepka, and I'm gonna play the odds with this one, and I'm gonna fire a big gun. I'm gonna go with Jon Rahm. I'm submitting it now, live in real time here on the call.
I think that's the right call. I think people have used him. I think a lot of people are going to use Brooks. I think Rahm is a really good play this week. I like that too.
Just for the record, I have him highlighted right here. Jon Rahm. You can't see it very well, but I was already going to take Rahm too. So I was debating him or Cam Smith. I've already used JT. Didn't work out so well for me because I used him in match play. Second year in a row, I've blown a big gun at match play. I'll learn my lesson next year. Maybe I won't. I don't know. And I think I've used Cantlay also, so I can't turn to Cantlay either.
Yeah, I was between JT and Cantlay, but I'm going JT is my primary pick. Cantlay is my alternate.
Yeah, so there you go. That's so. I'm going to use Rahm as well. I'm not going to care about ownership because I am way behind in this league anyhow. So sorry, Jeff. I'm going to pollute your pick by joining you on that. By the way, Len's going to go Cam Smith. He was talking up Cam Smith on Twitter a couple of weeks ago. Said he was his pick to win the Masters. still is his pick to win the Masters. So Len Hochberg, Hochberg's going that route, if you are interested in Len's pick. But any parting thoughts, guys?
I feel like we're in for a good one. It just, with all this Tiger news, and obviously he's kind of, he's the oracle at this point. Everything is just centered around him. But, I don't expect him to win it, but I think the stage is being set up here for a really epic Masters, and can't wait.
All right. Scott, anything else?
Scott might have froze.
I think he did froze. He's very captivated by this.
Or he stopped breathing.
I hope. Yeah, that'd be a very neat trick there. All right. Let's wrap up with that then. Everybody, thanks for listening to Gaming Golf. And we will be back at you again next week to recap the Masters. Jeff, have a great time.
Thanks, man.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Take care.